Hello all, my name is Sam, or Samuel, whichever you prefer, and welcome to my attempt at a Pokemon Emerald hardcore Nuzlocke. I've never been exactly good at Nuzlocking, so I'm going to open with a sincere apology for the rash, hasty, and often downright stupid gameplay you're about to watch. Webster defines Nuzlocke as nothing. It's not technically a word, but the rest of the internet defines a Nuzlocke as a unique self-imposed set of rules designed to increase the challenge of any given Pokemon game. As you may or may not be aware, Pokemon is, and always has been, a game designed for children, and is inherently designed to be completable by those children. That, however, doesn't mean we can't artificially inflate the difficulty with mind-bogglingly restricting rules that skirt on the borders of, is this still fun? The answer is yes, of course. You just have to look really hard. The standard Nuzlocke rules are as follows. If a Pokemon faints in or out of battle, for example, poisoned from walking, they are considered dead. So you put them in an appropriately sized hole, wipe a tear, and fetch the sparrow that's been staring at you from the box. The first encounter on any unique route is the only Pokemon you're allowed to catch for that entire route. If it runs away, roars, whirlwinds, or you kill it like a monster, too bad. Keep walking and pretend you didn't want them anyways. All caught Pokemon must be given a nickname, so when Pierre the Pidgeotto dies to some rando Rattata with a Hyperfang your full brain forgot about, it hurts just a bit more than losing Pidgey, encounter from Route 2. Remember, you have to just keep looking for the fun. It's there. I promise. That already sounds like a brutal time, severely limiting your choices and making every single battle a potential end to your career as a budding trainer. And yes, that assessment is accurate. But there are some absolute silly willies out there who decided that the standard Nuzlocking just wasn't traumatic enough and wanted to subject themselves to an additional level of horror. So I'll introduce what's commonly referred to as the hardcore Nuzlocke rule set. No bag items in battle. Berry and held items are fine. No leveling any team member past the next gym member's highest level Pokemon. If they overlevel, they can watch your progress from the box until they fall within legal ranges again. For the Elite Four, no leveling past the 4th member's highest Pokemon. The game mode must be on set. This means no dialogue prompt after defeating an opponent's Pokemon. If your entire party faints, the run is over. No starting with new box Pokemon. This is commonly referred to as a wipe. Okay, cool. That surely has to be a sufficiently difficult set of rules. Surely, right? Well, I personally also impose a few other tweaks to the rule set just for myself. No Gyarados. I love me a good Gyarados, but unfortunately they're just too viable for almost any situation, barring electric gyms. I found myself leaning on them just way too much for every run, altering strategies around them, so I figured that part of the fun of a Nuzlocke is being forced to think outside of the water snake shaped box, and use a Pokemon I may not normally use. If my legitimate game copies somehow have a bad battery or other restriction limiting my berry growth, I will allow myself to load in berries before the Elite Four, but only as many as I would have realistically been able to grow. Repels are acceptable to manipulate encounters. No HM slams. That means if the husk of a Pokemon I've been lugging around for HM use dies, I have to treat it like any other and say goodbye. This means I can hypothetically softlock myself out of progression, which means I have to start over. I use the Trainer ID starter choice. This prevents me from using bias to choose a starter. The last digit of my Trainer ID dictates which starter I choose. 1 to 3 is the Grass starter, 4 to 6 is the Fire starter, 7 to 9 is the Water starter, and 0 means I get to choose. No calcs. Calculating is the act of inputting your Pokemon and all of their individual stats, your opponent's Pokemon and their individual stats, and letting it calculate the likelihood of how attacks and battles will play out based on raw math. I understand that this is a big brain way to play and frankly, probably the right way to play, but I find tedious mathing and number crunching boring. We'll also be playing with the dupes clause. If you encounter a Pokemon that you've already captured or that is in the evolutionary line for one that you've captured, you may keep trying until you get a unique encounter. Alright, now that we have the rules established, I'll refrain from explaining them to this extent in each video. I've been trying to complete an Emerald Nuzlocke run for a few years now, never super seriously and almost always end due to lazy/hasty decisions I make on my part. I'm hoping now with the added accountability of recording my gameplay and uploading it as a viewable format, that I'll have the dedication to really take a serious attempt at finally completing a Nuzlocke. Let's see how it went. So I start my game. Alternate the A and B buttons to dash through Birch's spiel. Give myself a name. I'll go with Samuel. For now. I noticed that I seem to have been shipped with my family's other non-essentials. I check my trainer ID. Hey, that's great. That means Mudkip, which is honestly my preference, as Watson always poses a huge problem for me. I change my battle style to Set. I A-B smash my way through Mom's boring nonsense about moving. After some more story, you know, Dad is the gym leader, Birch is our neighbor, May is a blank slate of positivity. This doofus is absolutely floored by a level 2 Zigzagoon. A couple quick tackles does the job. I really feel a swift kick would have achieved similar results. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't do that. And I won't. Because I can't. Birch brown-noses for a few moments before telling me to keep and name the Mudkip that I saved him with. I've decided on a fast food theme for my nicknames. I named my Mudkip Jamba after Jamba Juice. Because liquid? I don't know. I run to get my free potion and proceed to grind a few levels as to avoid any funny business with the first rival battle. I give Trico the same treatment that first Zigzagoon received. 2 tackles domes this idiot, and I'm free to keep proceeding. May gives me a couple of Pokeballs, and the challenge starts for real now. I find a level 2 Wurmple and name him Carl Jr. I buy some more Pokeballs. I like to buy quantities of 10 at a time for the free Premier Ball, which I've always thought were just neat. Grab some other over-the-counter meds and head out to finish up my encounters before doing some needed grinding. I catch a Poochyena and name her after a fast food place I love called Good Times. I could only think to use that as a name because they have what's called a paw bender, which is a frozen snack you can bring home to your own dog. So, welcome to the party, Good Times. And then like an absolute champ, I somehow encounter a Ralts right off the bat, which looking now is only a 4% encounter on Route 102. This is very promising. I name him Mickey's after McDonald's. I proceed to do some light grinding before meeting and helping the local Tiny Tim catch a Ralts. Can't believe this piece of shit. I catch a Wingull and name him Starbuck because the Wingull lines always felt sailory to me, and Starbuck was in Moby Dick, and Starbucks it's clever, I promise. I then plant some orange berries. I'll definitely be back for these. After a bit more grinding for levels, I decide to brave Petalburg Forest looking for that sweet Shroomish encounter in. Okay, cool. I name him John Long SV after Long John Silvers. I save one adult man from another adult man and work my way through the rest of the forest. I plant some more berries. I promise I'll be back for you. My next catch is a Talo that I name KFC because chicken, bird. I rotate him into the party. Goodbye, Mr. John. Sorry that I'm not smart enough to use your evolutionary line. After stealing some more berries from this old woman for no reason whatsoever, I decide to do a quick Google search to see if my regular version of Emerald can grow berries. It can't. I catch an Incata and name him Tuki Juice after Tokyo Joe's because he turns into a ninja bug and ninja is... I train some more and arrive to the front counter of the Poke Center with Starbuck poisoned down to 1 HP. Yikes. This large man makes a concerning threat. Before entering Whismur Cave, I pick up an intriguing item. Wow, that's going to be useful, Never. I really luck out and catch a Whismur in Whismur Cave and name her Windy after, you know. I start grinding the viable Pokemon for the first gym until I get overconfident with some rando Poochyena that decides to crit KFC. So stupid. I run my bird corpse to the PC and figured maybe it wouldn't be so sad if all my dead Pokemon lived in a rad place called the G-Yard Z. Worried if I level Jamba too high, I could pass level 16 mid-battle, and if that happens, I miss out on Mudshot, which is basically his only good move for a long while. So I enter the battle at level 14. I flood both of Roxanne's Geodudes with a couple of well-timed water guns. I weaken Nosepas's attack with a few growls while she wastes her time raising her defense. After some heal stalling from Roxanne, Water Gun brings the Nosepass down easily, netting me my first badge. Jamba becomes a bigger boy and evolves to Marsh Stomp, learning that crucial Mudshot I was so worried about. I blast through some superficial story parts, save an old man's burr, and stare into space as more grown men talk at me about my future and delivery as they impart a couple of tasks. I slap May's Pokemon around a bit. I grind a bit more before heading to Dewford. Using only a repel and unparalleled memory of the cave layout, I make my way to my next encounter. I like skipping the first room in hopes of getting an Aron or a Sableye. So I encounter a Zubat, and using Sonic as an inspiration, I name him Nux. I leave my mouse cursor on the screen for a long time and perform part 1 of my delivery service. Wanting to get my EXP share as soon as possible, I go to Slateport on purpose and do part 2 of my delivery instead. I steal a soft sand from a child on the beach and head back to get my EXP share for real. I grind most of my team nearly to the level cap, knowing that if Brawly gets enough setup, he can kinda be scary. This fear was unfounded though, as Starbucks sweeps the first 2 contenders and runs Makuhita through a few potions. Knowing that Carl's an absolute monster frisbee against this gym in general, I send him out just to tank the hits and finish the battle. 2 gyms down, and only poor KFC dead. Better than most runs in my past. Feeling fearful of Watson, I temporarily box anyone who has just no business being in an electric gym. Before heading to the next rival battle, I catch a Minum, name him Marbles, after Arby's. I find this predator lurking under this table waiting for children to stumble into his home. I then attempt to rescue the kids trapped in his basement. After Tuki Juice almost gets walled by this Oddish, of course forgetting that he's part ground, I realize I've boxed all of my hard grass encounters. Mickey cleans up though, what a champ. Wendy assumes her less cute form of Loudred. Still cute. I train Tuki up to 20 and make sure to leave a space empty in my party for Shedinja. Not knowing the technicalities of getting 2 Mons from 1, I decide to put Ninjask in the G-Yard Z, as I'm really mostly interested in Shedinja's Wonder Card. I snag Nux up from the box and make sure he can take on May's Grovyle. Too easy. I meet this weirdo at the Pokemon Center in Mauville and disagree with everything he says. After getting Jamba and Windy up to the level cap, I go to fight Watson knowing only Supersonic can cause damage to Tuki. I bring him along just in case Manectric gives me trouble. Jamba should be a clean sweep, but I like to have contingencies in place because, you know, stuff happens. As expected, Jamba makes Voltorb and Electrike just look silly. Magnetron comes out and throws an unsuccessful Supersonic. Jamba just laughs at these futile attempts and throws some critical mud. Manectric comes out and raises attack, but Jamba clutches a speed drop with a heavy-hitting mud shot. This activates Manectric's Citrus Berry, bringing him out of potion range. After an unimpressive quick attack, Jamba cleans house with another mud shot, claiming us the 3rd badge. I put Tuki back because Wonder Guard only defends against neutral and non-effective moves, and moving forward is the Fire Gem. So, I bring Nux and Starbuck back onto the team. Long John learns Rock Smash and Cut, solidifying his move count at 50% utility. After snagging up the Strength HM, I start to proceed, making sure I don't need to come back through these boulders at any point soon, as this is technically Route 111, same as the desert area, and I really don't want to trigger a Geodude spawn. I catch a Numel on Route 112 and name her BQ, after Burger King, but the Queen equivalent. Nux evolves into Golbat, leading him one step closer to one of my all-time favorites. I catch a Coughing and name him Burrito Chime, after Taco Bell or Burrito Chime. I don't know, I'm trying my best here. I take advantage of this old woman's hospitality and rest 21 times before moving on. Next, I encounter a wild Skarmory. Wait, that's a Spenda. I name it Chick-fil-A. Mickey stomps down a Barboach and assumes his next form. Before making my way to Meteor Falls to do some story BS, I catch a Swablu and he is dubbed Poop Eyes, after Popeyes. Again, chicken, flying, give me a break. Starbuck brutalizes a few chump Numels and evolves to Pelipper, a huge boost for him and a welcome addition to the team. I lower Maxie's Mightyena down to potion range and get a free switch into Nux. Nux misses a deciding wing attack and Mightyena hits a hard critical bite, forced to bring out Jamba. Mightyena bites, then Sand attacks. What a little bitch. Jamba fights through the accuracy loss and finishes off Mightyena with a spray and pray mud shot. Even with the low accuracy, I risk a Rock Tomb throw and I'm rewarded with a one-hit kill on Zubat. Camerupt comes out, and this thing can hit hard if I'm not careful. Even with Water Gun being a much weaker move than Mudshot, I opt for it, knowing it has a 4x effectiveness against Camerupt's fire/ground typing. Not quite enough for a kill, and Camerupt counters with a pretty decent magnitude. My butt clenches, and Jamba hangs in with 12 HP. If that earlier sand attack finally takes hold, I'm done for. Maxie heals with another potion, and somehow Jamba's second Water Gun not only lands, but finishes the Camerupt. I'm wondering if that first hit was a low roll and the second a high? It seems like it really shouldn't have worked out like that, but I will absolutely take it. With Maxie defeated, I make my way down the mountain to the next gym, snagging him a Chop on the way and naming him Hardleys, after Hardee's. Using the power of science and Harry Potter, I fetch a Nuggie and teleport back to the previous town. After taking a nice soak with some Otterly, I decide to get the team to about the level cap. Plus, poor little Long John, whom I plan to sack if necessary. Let's just hope it doesn't come to that. Flannery opens with Numel, a Quick Water Gun takes advantage of her fire ground typing and puts her down without any drama. Slugma just barely lives a water gun, throws up a light screen, heals up, and throws out a Sunny Day. This is terrible. When Flannery's Torkoal comes out, Sunny Day will guarantee a kill with an overheat on basically any of my team. So I sent out good old Nux, hopefully to do some minimal damage and stall out the Sunny Day turns. Unfortunately, Nux just cannot be tapered, and a second Leech Life kills the Slugma, bringing out Flannery's Camerupt, which is a heavy damage dealer with an overheat as well. Not wanting to chance it, Mr. Silver fulfills his destiny and comes in as a sack, and to waste one more turn of Sunny Day. Camerupt is dumbfounded with John's beauty, and goes for an attract. His only response was an attempted yawn, but Camerupt saw right through this facade, and took him out with a tackle before he could break her heart. Luckily, Sunny Day does wear off during this rom-com, giving us a clean and safe switch into Starbuck. He hits hard with a water gun, nearly wiping out the Camerupt. Bad news though, Camerupt sets up another Sunny Day and heals up. Starbuck, entirely unamused, kills Camerupt, and I prepare for the tanky Torkoal to make her appearance. Mostly interested in stalling more of these sun turns, I do a protect and avoid a body slam. Knowing the Sailor Twins, Starbuck and Long John Silver may have to share the same fate, I go for a water gun to chip down and stall more Sunny Day turns. Fortunately, Torkoal goes for an attract and the sunlight faded. With the day now returned to a comfortable temperature, I sit in Jamba to try and mudshot our way to victory. Less fortunately, Mudshot leaves Torkoal with just a sliver of HP, even with a clutch critical hit, and Torkoal hits a hard body slam and landing the paralysis. Just terrible. Knowing that I can just barely survive another crit body slam, I go for a Mudshot, and I'm not punished for my greed. We win the battle, Davy Jones' locker claims Jonathan's corpse, and I claim myself the 4th gym badge. May scares the hell out of me as she pops out of a nearby building. I'm sure I could have taken her, but instead she gives me a present and bikes away. So weird. I bring Hardleys onto the team, knowing he has sweet potential if I train him up right for Norman. During my grinding, I catch a Trapinch, who I name Quadeebs, which is my nickname for Qdoba. I also catch an Oddish and name her Zahoot, after Pizza Hut. This guy gives me likely the worst Pokeball for a Nuzlocke. I immediately run and sell it. I go to rescue more children in duress from the Nightmare House. Then, like an absolute dope, forget one of the oldest threats to Nuzlocks everywhere. Graveler. Oh, we hardly knew ya. Those people can rot in that basement. So, Quadeebs joins the team. So I absolutely abuse the teleport back to Lava Ridge strategy as I destroy the local Meryl and Numel population until Mickey becomes a beautiful, beautiful man. I grab the root fossil to get some sweet bulk into our team for the Norman fight. I name the Laleep Subway after Subway. I decide to bring Arbles the Mine onto the team and hopefully use as a sack if needed and head to the 5th gym. I lead with Mickey. Mickey sweeps through Spinda and Vigoroth with ease, but I get scared going into slacking and overthink this to the point of believing that sacking Arbles right off the bat could get me into a decent position to take advantage of slacking's truants. Slacking yawns Arbles, and Arbles hits back for likely 1 HP with a quick attack before going down to a facade. Knowing slacking would be on his truant turn, I send Starbuck in, who I've loaded up with Toxic and Protect to cheese slacking into submission. After a few boring turns of alternating between Protect and Wing Attack, slacking goes down and Lanoon comes out, who I never seem to have a plan for. I usually just hope I can overpower him and then return to only worrying about slacking. Slash and Wing Attack respectively do about a quarter damage. After a second lucky crit dodge, I try and miss a Toxic. With Starbuck unable to take a crit hit at this range, I switch over to Nux, who has surprising bulk for what he is. Luckily, Nux is able to Wing Attack his way to glory, getting us the 5th badge. I'm starting to see a pattern of when I'm scared in a fight, I bring along a sacrifice and then just absolutely hide behind that sack the first chance I get. One of the hardest parts of Emerald Nuzlocke, in my opinion, is that between Gym 5 and Gym 6, there's only a 2-level cap increase. But there's a lot of ocean, and a lot of trainers and story in between. I do my damnedest, snag a tentacle who I name Ann T after Auntie Anne's. Because apparently Watson has better things to do, I restore the power plant and catch a useful Magnemite that I name 3 Guys, after 5 Guys. I grind my way over to the Weather Institute, where I absolutely trounce all of these grunts with some high-skill Magnemite Thunderbolts. I forget to name cast form as I have never used it, so welcome to the box. Cast form. Starbuck perfectly counters all of May's team and she once again bikes off in tears. I Before arriving in Fortry, I run into a Tropius. His name is JJ, after Jimmy John's. Because I'm an absolute fool, I feel like that for some reason I can just run from the forced Kecleon encounter, and 3 guys pays the price. Sorry guys. That is an absolutely devastating development for the flying gym, so I snag Chick-fil-A the Spinda as some fodder, teach Starbuck Ice Beam, Mickey's Shockwave, and head for the gym. I leave Starbuck and Mickey's 1 level under, knowing there are mandatory trainer fights inside, and if they overlevel, that's just game over. Walking up to Winona is intimidating, to say the least, knowing at the back of her party is a nasty Altaria that has ended many of my runs in the past. I open with Mickey's and start with a Calm Mind, hoping that Swablu would be a good choice to set up on. Not wanting to risk a Sing, I hit it with a Psychic and Calm Mind again on her Tropius, knowing its move pool isn't too dangerous to Mickey's. I hit with another Psychic and it goes down just like Swablu. Pelipper is sent out, and I should have used this turn to get off another Calm Mind, knowing that Pelipper's nearly always go for Protect turn 1 for some reason. But I get cocky and swing with the Shockwave, knowing it's 4x effective. As expected, the second Shockwave decimates Pelipper, as well as Skarmory the following turn. Now it's on to Altaria after a nearly perfect sweep with Mickey so far. I set up another Calm Mind, knowing Altaria always sets up with a Dragon's Dance. The Dragon's Dance sets Altaria's speed up higher than Mickey's though, so when I go to blast with a 3x Calm-Minded Psychic, Altaria lands an Earthquake, doing about a third health, and the Psychic leaves Altaria in the red, triggering the Oranberry heal. Which is really weird to me, as Watson, the leader 3 behind Winona, had a Citrus Berry equipped. Anyway, Winona goes for a Hyper Potion as I take another Psychic swing, and Mickey, being the absolute demon he is, somehow takes out Altaria with 1 hit on a high roll. I keep underplaying the high-low rolls during this playthrough. The 6th badge is now acquired, and I didn't even have to sacrifice Chick-fil-A. What a shame. Maybe next time. While trying to train up Quadeebs, very slowly, I come across a Shuppet, and as soon as I go to catch him, he tells me he'd rather die than join my team. Okay, fine. Quadeebs evolves into a Vibrava, making him slightly more usable. I run up to the Lily Cove department to get my shopping on after stepping on May's confident face. A Shuppet begrudgingly joins my party, and I name him Chipotle, after Chipotle. I come across this terrible human who's leading her party with a Wobbuffet, which, unless prepared for, almost always means a death for one team member. Fortunately, I've lost to this bitch before, so I lead with Mickey, set up 6 Calm Minds, and then Shockwave at the perfect moment. Feeling out of danger, I accidentally run into this absolute cluster of a double battle. Another Wobbuffet. I do another Calm Mind setup, let Quadeebs take care of the Sableye, and after the Wobbuffet tries to Death on me 3 times, I wait and strike with another expertly placed Shockwave. Before heading to the top to stop Archie or whatever, I rob some graves and then proceed with the story. Archie does his typical Archie stuff, and I head out to the Magma Hideout to stomp out Maxie again. And I somehow make my way through this entire base without taking a single wrong turn, like I own the place. Jamba gets his final Swampert form on the way to Maxie. That certainly can't hurt. So Maxie goes down with relative ease, and he spews some nonsense about something or another, but I'm more worried about continuing my Pokemon journey, to be honest. But before that, Archie is up to even more shenanigans. So I fly here, do this, then I fly there and I do that, grab a ball or whatever, then this homie promises me that he's not just here to waste my time. Now that the terrorists are off scheming, I can get back to my league progression. I head into the 7th gym thinking I'm just gonna pop in, grind up some easy levels, then worry about setting up my team in a bit. The whole gym proceeds fairly unimpeded. I'm gonna be honest here, I don't know what was running through my head here. I'm underleveled and not walking in with a plan. I guess I decide now's the time to take on Tate and Liza. My biggest downfall, however, is thinking that for some reason in Emerald that they just have a single Lunatone and Soul Rock. You'll see here that I led with my Surfers, thinking it'd be an easy sweep. Then I immediately get rocked to my core with a hard Psychic and a hard Earthquake. This does not bode well for the rest of the battle. I hesitate switching Starbuck into Mickey, knowing that Mickey is not a physical tank and more of a glass cannon, but I'm left with very little alternative. And Jamba switches over to Quadeebs. Xatu and Claydol take Mickey to about half with 2 Psychics, the first getting an unfortunate special defense drop. I drop a Shockwave off on Xatu, leaving him with a Sliver, with Crunch doing the same to Claydol. Xatu sets a Sunny Day and Claydol drops another Earthquake, taking out Mickey's with a crit and missing Quadeebs thanks to Levitate. Switching in Starbuck on the death, I try to do some big damage with Surf despite Sunny Day being up. Tate and Liza heal up both Claydol and Xatu. At this point, I'm basically dead in the water. I'll just let the rest of this battle play out. This was a huge misstep for me and felt really discouraging, but I played really sloppy for most of the run, so it's a shock that it didn't happen earlier, to be honest. Well, you live and you learn. Time for attempt 2. Did I say attempt 2? I meant attempt 3. For attempt 2, I was impatient, having started immediately after my first run wipe, and I made some huge misplays all over the place, and my entire team, except for Dust Dogs, wiped to the 3rd rival battle. I was just hoping to make some quick progress, but instead lost an hour of my life. Alright, attempt 3. Actually, this one was an embarrassing mess as well. I really did get some great gets throughout the run, but I ended up wiping a Maxi after a 9000 IQ switched from Mightyena on a Thunderbolt to Camerupt. When I tried recovering with a Jamba switch, he lands a crit Earthquake and proceeds to wipe the rest of my team. Having the last 2 attempts utterly fail due to my own hastiness, I decided I needed to do more EV training, be more thoughtful with my team setup, and just be better. I'll try to just highlight the important bits. I luckily land 9 as my trainer ID, so I pick up Jamba again. I catch a Wurmple and name her Carly, after Carl's Jr., Poochyena that I name Good Boy after Good Times, and a Lotad that I name Krabu after Caribou Coffee. I do the normal Wally stuff and afterwards catch a Meryl that I name Donk after Dunkin' Donuts. And Petalburg Forest finally gives me a Shroomish, which I name Subi after Subway. Starbuck the Winkle returns to the team. I catch and box Wendy the Whismer, a Nincada that I name Jofus after Tokyo Joe's, and I spend my time raising up the team to fight Roxanne despite a near guaranteed victory. I needed this to be the run. Roxanne's fight goes off unceremoniously as Jamba sweeps like the good boy I know he is. He nearly levels past 16, landing right at the cusp, allowing me to learn Mudshot. I learned that Starbuck is the way to go against May. I catch an Aaron that I name Colston after Coldstone. I traded my flyers to smash Brawly into his gym mats, and really, of course it was only Carly the Beautiful I needed. With her resistances, Stun Spore, and Gust, it was a breeze. Pun very intended. I hit up some interviewers and give them some insight into my brain. With the May fight up next, I lead with Wingull and batter my way through her team until her Slugma, with its dying breath, lands a yawn, leaving Starbuck asleep as soon as Grovyle switched in. This was an unanticipated turn. I go to send Subi out, but Grovyle hits a pursuit, killing Starbuck anyway. I send out Subi the Shroomish as the rest of my team were weak to grass, Jamba being doubly so. So, Starbuck's sleep left a huge gap in my defenses. Subi paralyzed and did a bit of damage before having to switch over to Krabu the Lombre. Lombre's move pool at this moment was pretty shallow, leaving me having to rely on Nature Power Swift to really do any damage. I brought Grovyle down to just a sliver of health before he hit a quick attack, killing Krabu. I switched into Jamba to finish it up with an insulting water gun. This fight was not supposed to run this way. I don't know what I was thinking here, but I guess I thought Subi was one of the victims of Grovyle's onslaught, so I ended up boxing him for the rest of the game. And a grass or fighting coverage would have been awesome. It's only now as of writing the script that I noticed this. And then at the same time, I guess I forgot that Starbuck went down, so I boxed Subi and kept Starbuck, which really should have been the other way around. This mistake is quickly rectified. With my confidence utterly shook, I load up my team with the tattered remains of my box, including an Electrike that I named K-Debs after Qdoba, not confident I'd be able to run a Flygon this round. I was left with very little recourse for Watson other than to just lean on Jamba again, so I decided I would have to spend some time EV training up his attack and just hope I could land enough Mudshots to sweep again. I ran back to Route 102, popped on some Netflix, and just started fighting only Poochyenas. Doing this, I get Jamba up to the level 24 cap, and then pumped a few attack EVs and Aaron as well. Knowing at this point with my current team composition, it was Jamba or bust. So I of course purposefully left off soft sand because I guess I thought it'd be funny or something. This was a non-issue though, as Jamba once again sweeps the entire gym with ease. Knowing that Flannery was coming up, I loaded up my team with the illegal Starbuck, Jamba, and Donk the Merrill, and proceeded training them up. During that training session, I head over to the wind straits as I should have out-leveled them at this point and could use the easy experience. And when Grandma's Metatite comes out, I figured a wing attack should be enough. I was terribly wrong, and Starbuck went down to a high jump kick. So I sent out K-Dubs the Electrite, who was admittedly underleveled, to shave off the sliver of HP and maybe gain a level out of it. I can't explain my reasoning here, but K-Dubs went down to another high jump kick. Apparently not having learned my lesson, I sent out Jofus, the level 8 Nakata, to finish the fight when he was sent down to just 1 HP. Dunk comes in, looks at the slaughter before his eyes, shakes his head at me through my screen, and finishes the battle with a water gun. What a pointless death, and I had convinced myself that I had learned by now. I was going to need another water Pokemon, so I ran to Dewford and fished up a tentacle that I named Artie-Aunt, after Auntie Anne's. After, I ran to Rustboro and grabbed a Goldeen, who I named Durqueen after Dairy Queen. I quickly googled Goldeen, and yeah, not a great get, no moves that will be beneficial to the Flannery fight. I trained Artie-Aunt up to the rest of the team, which is a slow process with such a poor early level move pool. Acid speeds things up, of course. Artie-Aunt learns to move Acid as well. After finally gathering the courage to keep progressing the game, I caught a Torkoal and named him Church, after Church's chicken. While heading to the first Maxi fight, I picked up a Swablu who I named KFC, after KFC. I opened the Maxi fight with Aaron, and lower his Mightyana's accuracy a few times with Mud Slap. Unfortunately, he was spending his time lowering my accuracy as well. So I ended up having to switch into the beefy boy Donk to take him down with a few bubble beams. Zubat confused him though, so I brought out Artie-Aunt to finish the job. Unfortunately, Artie was confused before killing the Zubat. So, upon Camerupt coming out, Artie was rocked with a crazy hard tackle that left him with 11 HP from full health. Jamba came in and finished it up though. Jamba leads and one-shots Numel and Slugma. Unfortunately, Camerupt is left with a sliver and lands the attract on Jamba. I sent out Artie-Aunt during the potion turn, hoping a Bubble Beam with a 4x super effective stab should be enough. Camerupt's health goes flying down and the big baddie Torkoal comes out, though this time around there's no Sunny Day setup to try and stall out. For some reason, I immediately switch back to Jamba and go for a mud shot, but get hit with a body slam on the switch in with paralysis, and immediately followed up with an attract. And then she does it. Sunny Day sets up, and Jamba's sitting there in love while paralyzed. Jamba miraculously breaks through the double impairment and hits a mud shot for about half health. His second mud shot is stopped by Infatuation, and Torkoal hits another body slam, landing a second paralysis. Not really, but feeling stubborn and confident she'll go for another body slam, I select mud shot and watch as this Torkoal unleashes the Sunny Day overheat and Jamba succumbs. That does not feel good. Artie could have really done some good work in there if I had just left him in. I send in Donk and throw out a Bubble Beam, not feeling too confident, and Torkoal outspeeds because I forgot to take off Macho Brace. So she lands the attraction, and I send in Durqueen to eat another turn of Sunny Day and maybe take an overheat if Flannery was feeling cheeky. She was not, and kills Durqueen with a body slam. So I send out Artie, the sunlight ends, and a Bubble Beam finishes the fight. More sloppy play, and I lost poor Jamba. I almost considered wiping here and starting over, but decided there's plenty more water types and I wasn't in dire need of a ground type going forward, so I persevere. I bring in Church the Torkoal from the reserves, knowing I was going to need some heft behind me for the Norman fight, and worst case scenario, I can do some protect strats on the Slaking. I catch a Trapinch in the desert that I name Minnie, as a gender reverse name of Mickey, named after McDonald's. They're getting really obscure, sorry. I load up Colston and Church with Macho Brace during their training and run around the Wismer Cave for a long time, trying to beef them up as much as I can. After training for so long and getting the appropriate levels, I enter the 5th gym, feeling like I had enough bulk to make it through. The first trainer kills Colston though, when I fail to recognize she's hitting me with shockwaves. I was literally just trying to breeze through the trainers as fast as I could to get to the leader. Sorry Colston, I guess no Aggron still. For Norman, I lead with Church and he's able to flamethrower his way through the ranks up to Slaking, where I continue with a flamethrower protect combo for the win. Church was an absolute MVP this round. I catch Voltorb while running Watson's dumb little errand restoring power or whatever. Name it Joyzy, after Jersey Mike's. On the way to clear the Weather Institute of the Jokers who decided to squat, I picked up an Oddish and named her Quiznona, after Quiznos. Ardeon sweeps his way through May's team with Surf and Sludge Bomb, a stark difference from our last encounter. I use about 100 Pokeballs and on a whim just throw a Premier Ball and catch an Absol. I name him In-Out, after In-N-Out. Joyzy the Voltorb gets some special attack EV training and a Nido evolution in preparation for Winona, and In-Out gets jacked with some attack and speed EVs. I bump about everyone up to the level cap and give Winona a go. Joyzy makes quick work of the Swablu, but then she sends out her Altaria, seeing a super effective Earthquake option. I always forget just how smart dumb the AI can be, so I switch over to Artie, who's been training for this, and he's learned Ice Beam basically just for this fight. Since Altaria always goes for Dragon Dance the first turn, I get a free switch to go for the 4x effective Ice Beam. Altaria outspeeds and brings Artie down to 32 HP, but the Ice Beam one-shots the Menace and Winona sends out Skarmory. Knowing that Artie's paid his rent and surplus, I send Joyzy back out to clip the Skarmory's wings with a couple of sparks. Tropius follows suit, and Pelipper goes down to a single 4x effective spark after Protect stalling for a turn. With a new badge, I am now within level limits of an Altaria evolution, so I bring KFC onto the team and throw Joyzy back to the box, giving a break after the performance with Winona. Knowing May's new weakness, I let Artie do his thing. I successfully catch a Shuppet before it could yeet itself into oblivion and name him Chipotle again, after Chipotle. Archie does a thing with an orb. I train up Good Boy so I can have a hard counter to the Psychic Gym, and sweep some Poochyenas before remembering that Dark for some reason is special in Emerald, so I decide to just stick to a rounded EV training. Minnie goes down to some random Tentacool. Of course. Joyzy comes out of early retirement back into the team. Maxie does a thing with an orb. Knowing I'll want more than one Dark support, I snag up a Carvana and name her Paneri, after Panera Bread. This grunt once again promises me that he's the real deal and isn't wasting my time. Paneri comes onto the team and I train her up to a Sharpedo with a ton of special attack EVs. KFC evolves into an Altaria, and with everyone just about at the level cap, I decide to look Tate and Liza in the faces again, coming in with a plan. Like an absolute tool, I lead with Paneri the Sharpedo and Joyzy Electrode, once again forgetting about Claydol and his Earthquake. Joyzy pulls a crit spark and one-shots the Xatu, while Paneri throws her best surf, which is only unfortunately able to chip down about half of the Claydol and about 3/4 of the switched-in Soul Rock. Joyzy is rocked to the core with a critical Earthquake. I rub my brow at this moment, thinking how stupid that was. Dom comes in with Paneri, and the two do a dual surf that knocks out both of the opponents. With Paneri hanging on with just 13 HP, I switched her out to Good Boy, who can't be hit with any errant psychics. I switch in Church to try and drop a Toxic onto the opposing Lunatone. Good Boy gets put to sleep after a weak bite. Church gets absolutely no chance as a critical hit Psychic kills him. I wipe away the rain that's dripped onto my face from out of nowhere and switch in KFC. KFC is put to sleep right away as Good Boy snaps out of it. Another weak bite, and the next turn he falls asleep again. I switch Paneri in after baiting a Psychic and finish the match with a Surf. 2 valuable team members down. I sweat it off as it's still better than totally wiping. After saying goodbye to Joyzy and Church, I bring Artie back, who was safely boxed with his poisoning type. I give a shrug and say, why not try using a Banette, so I bring Chipotle into the fray. After a quick uneventful double battle with Steven, I catch a Whalmer to use for some diving, as I don't want to waste any spaces on my main team. I name her Tam Horton, after Tim Hortons. I box up Good Boy, not quite knowing if he was going to be very viable going forward, and I figured an early retirement was better than an early death. I hold my breath for like 20 minutes straight to stop more Aqua shenanigans. I catch a Zubat who I name Sanic, after Sonic. Archie does another thing with an orb, but even stupider than I could have anticipated. While holding my breath like a total blitzballer, I catch a Chinchu and name him Panda Express, after Panda Express. I bring him onto the team. Chipotle and Panda Express evolve after I abuse the match call system for a few hours. I make it my solemn mission to track down these interviewers and give them the same answer over and over and over. They tell me what a great job I'm doing. I turn Spinda into an endangered species with Panda Express as I pump up her special attack EVs. Once all the homies are about at the level cap, I use my years of Sudoku training to solve the size puzzle. I lead with Chipotle, aiming a Calm Mind setup on Love Disc, and being a smart boy, I put a Person Berry on Chipotle to shake off the immediate confusion and get off one Calm Mind before getting attracted and confused again. I struggle through and pull off a Thunderbolt. So much for true love. Chipotle snaps out of confusion and one-shots the Crawdon. I hit a pitiful Psychic on the Wishcash and take the time to Will-O-Wisp and stifle any earthquakes he may throw my way. Wishcash sets up Rain as I Calm Mind boost a few more times. Wishcash does his best and hits a weak Water Pulse and Earthquake along the way, but with 3 Calm Minds and some burn damage, the Psychic is more than enough to finish him off. Celio goes down to a single Thunderbolt. Kingdra's brought down to about a 4th before wasting some time with the rest, but at this point it's too late. Chipotle keeps firing off Thunderbolts and I'm eventually able to claim the last badge. Chipotle really did some great work in there. I snag a rare candy from here, and then I run up here to grab that Bagon I've been saving the Meteor Falls encounter for, and... cool. I name the Solrock Casablanca after White Castle. Next, I find a Hariyama in Victory Road and name him Smashburger after Smashburger. While sifting through my TMs, I find Focus Punch and think of a clever idea. I teach Smash Substitute, Bulk Up, Focus Punch, and Rest, and think maybe I can do some clever setups and just sweep through some weird Elite Four battles. I do a test run on some wild Pokemon, seems to work. Now, just to train them up and... oh, my only attack move is Focus Punch. That sounds like a nightmare to train, and there's absolutely nowhere I can reobtain any of these moves. Great. So I decide that instead of Focus Punch, I'll just use Brick Break. After a lot of training, I get everyone up to level 55, and I'm ready to face the Elite Four. While prepping my moves for everyone, I realize that KFC has an absolute garbage moveset. And I want to delete Fly, but without Fly, I don't have a quick way of getting the Elite Four from where I am. And common sense, I'm not going to just swim there, waterfall, work my way back through Victory Road. It would be so much easier to just teach Fly to someone else. Unfortunately, the only flyer I have in the box is Zubat, but Zubat can't learn Fly until it evolves into a Crobat. So I do the lazy, not lazy thing. I train Zubat up to Golbat, then bike more than 400 times back and forth between Verdant Turf and Route 118, with Golbat leading the party to make him love me. After a single level, he turns into a Crobat, and now I can finally be lazy and just fly to the Elite Four. And now, time for tragedy. I game sharked some citrus berries into my game, but never having used cheat codes, like ever before, I didn't know how, and ended up starting and stopping my recording like 4 times while trying to figure it out. And apparently I didn't check the recording before starting the Elite Four. Let me make you this absolute promise. No one died. Ardeont and Panda Express basically did all the work with the exception of Smash doing a little smashing in the first battle. Luckily enough, I've prepared a dramatic reenactment for how the Elite Four battles went. So here's my team. Ardeont the Tentacruel, KFC the Altaria, Panda Express the Lantern, Chipotle the Banette, Paneri the Sharpedo, and Smashburger the Hariyama. I check my recording and head into the Champions Chambers. I lead off with Panda Express, who takes out the Wailord after a few obnoxious back and forths. Gyarados goes down to a single Thunderbolt. Ardeont comes out and sludge bombs his way through the Ludicolo as it double teams. Wishcash goes down into 2 Giga Drains after sending Artie down to just 25 HP with an Earthquake. Milotic gets shocked to death by Panda Express. Wallace's Tentacruel nearly wipes out Pan with 2 Sludge Bombs but gets the Milotic treatment and is subsequently shocked to death as well. And with that, I finish the Elite Four deathless. I understand that the missing footage is really sus, but this is the first Nuzlocke I've ever completed, and I wasn't going to let my victory be tainted by that. I swear I will be more diligent with my future runs, and you'll never have to witness that travesty again. So I've completed Pokemon Emerald. I had tons of fun and a ton of heartbreak during my 4 runs. Before launching myself headfirst into challenge runs and the like, I had to be sure I was able to complete a non-specialty Nuzlocke first. Thanks for coming along with me on this journey. It was an absolute thrill, and I can't wait to keep providing this type of content for all of you. If there's anything you ever want to see, just leave it down below in the comments. I'll do whatever I can, and hopefully, if you enjoyed this video, I'll see you in the next one.